Hi, 7th grade. Miss Dohan here to continue our work with literary elements. The literary element we're focusing on today is plot. And just like before, there's going to be a number in the right-hand corner that tells you when you should take notes. So you're going to be taking notes on slides 3 through 5, and this is going to be in section 2 of your ELA notebook after the notes on conflict. So go ahead and pause this video. Make sure you have a pen or pencil and your ELA notebook. You're not going to take notes on this slide, but this slide is to help you kind of visualize and get a little bit of an understanding of what plot is. So in a second, we're going to define plot, but we know that plot, just kind of in thinking about this word, means like just the order of events in a story. And in a story is structured a lot like your basic roller coaster. And let's pretend you are in this car starting the roller coaster. First, we're just starting off and we're just kind of getting to know what the roller coaster is like. We see that it's going to go up. We might see that there's some trees in the background. We're just kind of getting introduced to the people and the scenery. Then, as we go up, we notice that, or we might even feel in our hearts like, oh, I'm feeling kind of scared. I'm feeling kind of tense as I approach that really, really high piece, or excuse me, that top of the mountain. This is just like a story. So stories might start off really, really relaxed. You're just getting information. And then you might slowly see that there are some problems and some issues building. Then when we get to the final or the very top of the roller coaster or the mountain, we feel like the greatest suspense. We're about to fall, we're about to drop. Our hearts are racing. So in a story, when we reach to the highest peak of that story, we're also feeling a lot of stress or tension between the characters and whatever he or she is experiencing. Then, as we fall down, we see that the end is near. We are like past our point of the highest tension and we're experiencing that downward spiral into finally the resolution where everything is wrapped up and ends. And that ending might be, great, let's do it again, or, ooh, I'm never doing that again, it was awful. So we're going to break down each one of these 5 parts in the structure of a chronologically set plot. So the first thing that we need to do is define plot. Plot, and again, you are taking notes starting on page 3. Plot is a sequence of related events in the story. And again, I've also set my notes up like the Cornell notes. The keyword is on the left and the definition is on the right. So as we saw from before, there are 5 parts in plot. We're going to start with the first one, which is called exposition. Okay, there's actually quite a bit to exposition. The first part, again, is exposition. It's kind of, if you look at the word, it means to expose, or like to expose means to reveal. So we're revealing the background information. It's the beginning of the story, and it gives the reader background information. The exposition may be short, it may be just a few paragraphs or maybe a couple of pages, or it may be long. For example, in the novel we'll read next year, To Kill a Mockingbird, the exposition is 12 chapters long. The exposition includes and introduces the setting, the when and where the story takes place, main characters, which we'll get to, and it hints at the main conflict, so the main problem in the story. Next, we have 4 more parts. After our exposition, we have rising action. And what rising action refers to are all of the related incidents that are building towards the greatest point of interest or building this tension. This can include a lot of minor conflicts that are leading up to that kind of breaking point, that highest point of suspense or tension. The most important and like the turning point in the story is the climax. So this is what the story is building to. The climax is what's referred to as the peak of action and conflict. It's also called the turning point because we're not introduced to any new conflicts in this point. Here's where we shift gears and turn towards kind of wrapping up how this conflict is going to be solved. So I like to call it the game changer. And it's also the greatest point of tension in the story. And that tension can be like very exciting and positive, or it can be like, ooh, freaky outy scary tension. After the climax, we have falling action. And again, if we go back to our roller coaster metaphor, whoop, here's where our falling action is. This means that, again, we're moving towards that very ending piece. There's no new conflicts being introduced. It may not be like totally wrapped up and everything happy, but it's all of the incidents, all of the related incidents that like are leading to this ending. And last but not least, we have the resolution. And the resolution refers to the solution to the conflict, in other words, how the story ends. It's very important to know that an ending can be good and happy, so smiley faces all around, or it can be bad and sad. That can depend on your kind of interpretation of a story. It can also depend on what happens to the characters. For example, if there's a conflict between Miss Dohan versus a bear, and the conflict is man versus nature, and Miss Dohan gets eaten by the bear, that's kind of a sad resolution because I got eaten by the bear. Bummer. Okay, so what I want you to do, there's one more slide, and this slide is actually a visual of like the typical plot structure. I want you to actually draw this triangle out and label each of the main parts. This will again just help you kind of get a visual structure visual piece of how a story is structured. You do not need to write these definitions because you've already done those. Okay, we're going to practice with plot structure tomorrow, so make sure that you complete these notes. Have a great night.